My nose bleeding. Ah, it was. This should fix it. Let's make it moist again. Mm-hmm. I'll clean. Residue. All right, here we go.
I don't know what this thing is. I think it's a strip show, dance show.
Work there, dude.
Welcome to
DeaconLive.
DeaconLive.
Welcome back, guys. On today's show, who is leaving his big wheel behind, and why are children getting burned on the playground? Also, what are swim bladders? Also, how did a woman survive her own funeral? All this and much, much more we discuss here on DeaconLive. How are you? How are things? How are things going? Are you doing okay? That's all I'm concerned about. Make sure that you're doing all right and everything's going well on your side of the microphone or your side of the speaker. Something stupid radio cliche I could say there, but I don't know one, so I just threw that out there. I, on the other hand, am thankful to be alive. Now, I say that, it seems like every week I come to you guys and I have some kind of issue or problem where I barely cheat death, or I got injured and didn't get injured or something like that. It just seems like every week something's happening to me. So let me tell you what happened to me this week. You ready for this? So we are in the middle of June, right? So June usually is when I take a week and get all of our vehicles and stuff serviced here on the property. Now, we have 22 some odd acres here, so it takes a lot of different equipment to run this property. We've got tractors, we've got side-by-sides, we've got lawnmowers, we've got all this expensive equipment, farm trucks, and then our own personal vehicles. So usually around June is I like to take a week and schedule all the maintenance and get the oil changes and all that stuff, because we're like getting into our busy season as far as here on the property. Now we have horses and everything around here, but we're in the middle of rebuilding a fence pasture, which takes a lot of effort and a lot of equipment to get this done. So normally I would have to take off days of a normal job. Like if I had a normal 8 to 5 job or something like that, I would have to take those. I would have to either come in late or leave early or something like that. Luckily, my dad lives here on the property with us. As you guys know, he moved in about a year and a half ago. Everything's going great with him, but he is available. So we use him to the best of his availability, as far as if he doesn't have a doctor's appointment or anything like that, to drive me and chauffeur me and pick me up and do all this stuff. So, my big truck, my brand new big truck that we have just hit 5,000 miles. I know we've had it for a year and a half now, just hit 5,000 miles. So it's time to change the oil. So Dad followed me up to the dealership. Follows me up to the dealership, and the routine I told you, he gets a lunch or a breakfast depending on what time of day that we drop the vehicles off. Here's where I run into the issue. So we dropped all the vehicles off. Now we're in the process of, they've had them for 28, 48 hours. If there was a recall, if there was a window tinting or something that needed to be done, we add a little bit of extra on the vehicles. Have it washed, have it detailed, all that stuff. So they might have it for 48 hours, so we don't go the same day to pick it back up. Plus, we live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's good to just break the days up by spreading everything out. So now all the vehicles are dropped off, and now it's time to pick them all up one by one. So I'm riding in my dad's car. He bought a 2023, I think it was, or 2022. No, it's a 2022. It's a 3-cylinder Ford EcoSport. Yeah, it's about as big as a roller skate. So my dad has been driving, all living down in Florida. He had this big, huge econo van type deal. And now he has this little small car that I could basically put in the studio. No problem at all. Just I'll carry it on my shoulder, bring it up the steps, and I can plop the thing right here in the studio. So, but my dad's still driving like he's driving this big old friggin' tank around. And my dad lives and dies by the speedometer, the cruise control. Now, you know, we live out in the middle of nowhere. We got these 2-lane country roads, and they're not straight 2-lane country roads. They go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. They go left, they go right, they go left, they go right, and then they go hard left, then they go hard right, depending on who owned the property and who they were going to allow to build the highway or whatever on their property. So my dad, cruise control, 55, doesn't matter. And he's flying into these turns like a race car. And I'm literally like smashed up against the passenger window because he's driving me to pick up the vehicles. And a couple times, I swear to you, I heard the tires, sliding around a turn. He would not hit the brakes for anything. And he kind of said to me, I've been driving since I was, 15 years old. He just turned 77 this past weekend. And I said, yeah, Dad, that's great. You've driven since you were 15 years old. I understand that. But your reaction time is way off. He even said one time we got over the white line, the white solid yellow line that, deciphers the road and the ditch next to it, that white line. He got over that a little bit and then brings it back. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Dad. Oh, that turn got away from me a little bit. Yeah. And the other thing that he does, so, driving these country roads, I'm white knuckling it. I'm double. If I had a double seatbelt, I'd put the double seatbelt on. And I'm watching my dad, and he's driving, and he, cruise control, doesn't hit the brakes or anything. He's just flying top speed, whatever the speed is, no slowing down. It's just 55 in every turn. He made a joke saying, normally I'd hit that at 60 if I was in the van. Yeah, Dad, the van's got a big old larger wheelbase on it. This thing's about as big as a roller skate. The tail end's going to spin around. You're going to be like Mario Kart when he gets hit by a banana. He's going to spin around. We're going to end up in the ditch, Dad. And then he plays this little joke on me. So we're coming around a turn. He goes, oh, in the ditch? And he kind of jerks the wheel to the right a little bit just to give me a little scare. No, Dad, you are not you are not of age to play around like that, to jerk the wheel, because I'm afraid you're going to jerk back the other way, overcompensate, hand over fist, tires over roof. We're going to end up rolling, and then that's it. That's the end of the story, that we're all going to be laying in the ditch in the middle of a cornfield. No one's going to find us. Wolves are going to eat our face, and then that's it. Our only substance for survival is this this non-food grade cornfield that we've rolled into. So I get nervous. When you hear about older people driving, you worry about them getting into accidents. My wife's grandmother drove up until she was like 92. And the thing was, her left side of her, not her face, but of her body, like she had a stroke. I don't know if she had a stroke or not, but she couldn't see well out of her left side, or her arm wasn't working. The left side was something wrong with her left side. So everywhere she went, she took right-hand turns because she couldn't make that left-hand turn. It was easier for her to take a right-hand turn. So to go to like the meat store with her or go get groceries with her when we're going up to New York, or when we went to New York, we go out the driveway, take a right out of the neighborhood, take a right down here. And I'm like, Grandma, the store's right there. Yeah, but I can't get to it. I've got to go up to the light and then take the light across the main. Getting old. Like my dad says, getting old sucks. Or people say. I don't know if my dad says. He just says, oh, it's old age. You get used to it after a while. But one thing my dad relies on heavily, and I know why, because I've witnessed it. He relies on his turn-by-turn navigation. I mean, granted, he doesn't know the area, doesn't know the streets or anything like that. And I can appreciate that. But, no matter where he goes, he's like, turn-by-turn navigation. Even if he goes to the food line to go grocery shopping, where he's been a million times, he puts that turn-by-turn on there just in case what? Just in case he forgets where to turn. I worry about that too, but he's doing good. He's walking around the house. He kind of old man shuffles around the house. He does drive well. We do have the Life 360 app on our phone, so if he ever, God forbid, he gets into an accident or something, our phones will be alerted when he leaves the property. If we're busy and it's a big wide property, he can't go around doing head checks and say, hey, I'm leaving. So if he leaves, we get a notice on the phone that he's left the property and to a doctor's appointment or anything like that. So there you go. I mean, I got scared. I won't drive with him. I won't drive with him anymore. And I told him that, joking, kidding around. He actually, the last vehicle that we picked up, he dumbed it down a little bit. He's like, I'll pay attention to the road. I won't drive as fast because he said, you're messing up my seat over there. You're putting claw marks on my seat. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. All right, guys, we got a big show to get into. Lots to talk about. And you ever been bitten by a family member? Well, this guy did, and he almost died. So stick around. I'll get into that story as well. You're listening to Deacon Live right here on Prophet Radio. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Deacon Live. Am I in the right zone? Yeah, I'm in the right zone. Why is it up there somehow? I don't know. Welcome back to Deacon Live. You want something for free? Well, of course you do, and we will give you something for free. And what you got to do is go over to Prophet Radio, Prophet Radio, at the top of the page. Oops, what's going on here? Welcome back to Deacon Live. We'd like to give you something for free just by being a part of the show, just by listening to the show. We'd like to give you something, and the way you do that, the way you get that product, that prize, that secret little free item is go over to Prophet Radio, Prophet Radio. At the top of the page says free swag. Click on that. There's a couple prize packs over there. Fill that out, and we'll send you out one of those packs right to your front doorstep. Believe me, I've said this a million times over and over and over again, and a lot of people that have applied for this or gotten these prize packs know that it's not an email grab. I don't spam you. I don't do anything like that. I'm a one-man show doing a job of many men or women if you want to be that kind of person. But by all means, go over there, grab yourself something for free. It's from Prophet Radio, proud sponsors of Deacon Live, just their way of saying thank you for listening and being a part of the show. Now, when we went on vacation a couple of weeks back. We went to Savannah, Georgia. We drove all the way down there. It was about 4.5 hours to get down there, which isn't too bad. But coming back, you're the whole hotel thing. I hate that. You can't check in till 3 and you have to be out by 10, that type deal. That's fine. Sometimes it's stupid, but oh well. One thing that they're saying is there's a potential deadly mistake that people make when returning from vacation. Whether you're walking around Disney World, swimming in the ocean, or taking a mountain trip, it's needless to say that many vacations, while tons of fun, can also be very tiresome. You know, you always hear the cliche, I need a vacation from my vacation. Am I still going? All right. Just have to make sure. It is important to be aware of the dangers when it comes to this. After unpacking as much as possible on your days off, exhaustion may sit in as you try to rush back home to prepare for going back to work or school. This is important to be aware of the danger when it comes to this. Drowsy driving, defined as driving while sleepy, is more common than you think. According to the Centers for Disease Control survey, about 1 in 25 adult drivers reported falling asleep at the wheel while driving within the past 30 days. Great. You're out on those highways? Holy mackerel. 21% of fatal crashes involve drowsy driving. So while it may feel that you're in control and you can keep yourself alive and awake at the same time, remember that probably everyone in the situation has felt the same way. Tiredness can affect the mind and the ability to drive in a slew of ways too. There's no one way in which an accident will happen. By being sleepy, can impair your judgment as decision making. Now, I have driven down to Florida, and usually it's 8 hours door to door. And going down to Florida from Charlotte, North Carolina, the last 2 hours, I can feel myself getting a little I have to slap myself in the face to keep myself awake. So if you're out there on vacation, you're coming back home, be careful out there because drowsy driving is out there. So pay attention, drink some coffee, do whatever you got to do to stay awake out there. And the reason why I tell you this is because a fisherman in Riggins, Idaho, a fishing trip turned into a horrible scene after an angler noticed a vehicle overturn in the Idaho River and the family of 4 dead inside. The tragedy was discovered on June 10th after the family was reported to be overdue on their arrival at their vacation destination after traveling from Spokane, Washington. So how many miles is that from Idaho to Washington? I don't know geography on that side of the world too much, but I'd imagine it's probably more than 8 hours. Their vehicle was found later in the morning on the Salmon River just north of Riggins, Ohio. According to the Idaho County Coroner, the deceased victims were Calvin Miller, 36, Dakota Miller, 17, Jack Miller, 10, and Delilah Miller, age 8. Oh, that's so sad. It's probably dad taking everyone out on some kind of trip or anything. The coroner said that they had all succumbed to their injuries through the accident. Reported is expected to be released sometime this Tuesday. Our hearts are broken out for the family, and hearts and prayers and thoughts and all that stuff. Says the coroner, Cody Funke, Funke, I guess, or Funk. Yeah, so this family was coming back home or going on vacation and just slid off the road, wasn't paying attention. And I know out there in Idaho, you know, you're going up through mountainous terrains, and then all of a sudden you're on a 2-lane road, and then you're back in through mountainous terrains. Those 2-lane roads is what wipes you out when it's just a straight shot. And then you get into, oh, now I got to swerve this way. We went to Yellowstone a few years back, and yeah, you get into these big, long stretches of just straight land, and then all of a sudden you got to go through a mountain. And when I say through a mountain, you know, left turn here, right turn here, left turn here, and you got to be awake. And those long stretches in between kind of knocks you out, makes you have what they call like road hypnotized. Now, an elderly woman was declared dead in Ecuador, shockingly comes back to life, banging on the coffin during her wake. It gave us all a fright, Bella Montoya said, adding that the 76-year-old mom was still in an unstable condition. A 76-year-old woman who was declared dead at the Ecuadorian hospital was found alive in her coffin after she started banging on it during her wake. Can you imagine that? Oh, grandma, let me out of here. Adios mio, let me out. Bella Montoya, a retired nurse, was brought into the hospital early on Friday after suffering cardiopulmonary arrest and a possible stroke. After not responding to resuscitation efforts, she was declared dead. Doctors informed Montoya's family, including her son Gilberto, that she was dead and handed over the death certificate. According to the AP, the family took her to the funeral home where they held the wake. 5 hours into this, the coffin started rattling. Oh my God. Those are scenes from horror movies. It gave us all a fright, Gilberto said. There was about 20 of us here, he continued, and after about 5 hours of the wake, the coffin started making sounds. My mom was wrapped up in sheets and hitting the coffin when we approached it, and we could see that she was still breathing heavily. A video was taken as soon as she was discovered breathing. Oh my God, please tell me they have the video. Let me see. Do they have the video? Here's the video. Hold on. So for every podcast we do, we have a matching video of the podcast, so you can see all this stuff in real time. I'm going to go to camera 4, and here it is. Here is the people realizing that the mother is still alive. Here we go.
Increíble, le habían dado por movilizado. Se han hecho presentes y están aquí colaborando con la emergencia. En este momento ya la van a poner en la camilla para trasladarla hasta un hospital. Ella se va a subir el hijo, va a acompañarla hasta el hospital. Muy buenas noches, amigos que siguen el titular.
So there's two guys like leaning over the casket there, and she's not like flailing around like alive, like Ain Hesh style, but yeah, there she is breathing. There's her mouth moving. So there, yeah, I mean, she's not like sitting up or anything. They have an EMT out there looking at her. There's her hospital wristband, says, yes, she's dead. And then there she is. So this elderly woman, all right, thank you. Lo siento. Montoya is in intensive care right now at the hospital in Babahoya, according to the Ecuadorian Ministry of Public Health. The ministry also is opening an investigation to review how the hospitals issue death certificates. A similar incident occurred earlier this year in the United States. A New York nursing home is under investigation after a woman was pronounced dead, only to be found breathing a few hours later. People, I mean, there's a reason why there's a term called for whom the bell tolls. They actually had bells hooked up to the casket. If you were buried alive, they had little bells with a string on it. Hey, don't let them bury me. I'm not dead yet. So there she goes. And I hope she has some kind of recovery and lives a little bit more and to tell her story. All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, why are kids tripping on acid on playgrounds? And it's not what you think. And I'll dive into that story, and it's wild and crazy to be a little cliche as far as radio terminology. Stick around. We'll dive into that when we come back. You're listening to Deacon Live right here on Prophet Radio. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Deacon Live. You want to be heard? Well, we'd love to hear from you. And the way you do that is go over to Prophet Radio, proud sponsors of Deacon Live. That's Prophet Radio, Prophet Radio. At the very bottom of the page is a little blue bar. It's got a microphone on it. It says Be Heard. Click on that, and you can speak right into whatever device you're listening to us on or at. And it comes right to our inbox, and we can play you on this podcast if you get it in soon enough, or the very next podcast as well. And we have over 8 years of shows, so feel free to go through the archive and listen to those past shows. You can hear all the different guests that we've had here in the studio. If you have any questions or anything, get those in, and you can even say, you know, happy birthday to my little friend Tommy. Tommy, happy birthday to you. And, you know, if you want to do that, you can be podcast famous and be right here in the studio with us in real time. Now, I have a garden, for lack of a better term. I have about a half acre where we've planted some corn, we've planted some tomatoes, we've planted some black-eyed peas, some snap peas, a whole bunch of different items out there. And we use them. We're waiting for the corn to come in. The corn should be, I know, agricultural talk again. We're waiting for the corn to come in. We've got probably another 4 weeks, 6 weeks before we can get the corn off the stalks. And if we have too much food or too much stuff from our garden, we actually put out a little produce stand. We don't charge any more money for it. And we put our stuff that we can't consume fast enough. Like we'll put a whole bunch of zucchinis out there. We'll put a whole bunch of cucumbers, some snap peas, all that stuff. Ears of corn, we'll freeze those. We're not giving that shit away. Hell no, that's gold. that's veggie gold right there. But all the other stuff that would go bad if we didn't eat it fast enough, we'll put it out there on the table. Tomatoes, things like that. And we have a little donation jar because some people will go, you know, we need to give you something. No, you don't have to give us anything. So there's a little coffee can out there where people can slip in some change or something if they want to. No big deal. If someone runs off with a coffee can, obviously they needed it more than us. We're a small community of 2,500 people. You know, everyone needs a little bit of help. Now, unfortunately, over in Newton, Massachusetts, this farmer was left stunned after thieves stole hundreds and hundreds of vegetables planted in the ground and trays of seedlings from their greenhouse. It happened in Newton Community. It happened at the Newton Community Farm last week. Executive Director Sue Bonatino. There you go. Call her Bonatino. Let's do that. Tells us that she believed it happened somewhere between 7:30 Thursday and 7 a.m. Friday. We were in disbelief, and then we got angry, and then very sad that someone would do this to our farm and to this community, she says. She says she's the manager of the farm. She says the manager of the farm went out to irrigate the crops Friday morning and first discovered that the basil plants were missing. They walked around and saw thieves had taken some of the onions first, then some of the leeks, and then looking for some scallions, they grabbed those as well. They cleared the rest of the beds. She said that the thieves stole about 10 trays of cucumbers, tomatoes, kale seedlings, along with eggplants, cucumbers, scallions that were all planted in the ground. Newton Community Farm is a nonprofit organization that donates a portion of what they grow to local food pantries. So, I mean, that's sad. It really is sad. So for more on this story, I'm going to switch to camera 4 so we can see this and we can all be friends here and figure out what happened. So for more, we're going to go to Boston 10 for this story. And let me take you off mute so everyone can hear it. There we go.
Farm.
Yeah.
Crime in Newton after a thief steals hundreds of vegetables from a community farm.
Yeah, they believe whoever did it had been targeting specific produce. NBC 10's Diane Cho has more on the theft. It's new at 11.
You see all the basil, beautiful basil growing here.
It's not a crime you hear about very often.
And then suddenly it's missing.
Hold on. Something's not happening here. I'll start it over for you.
Usual crime in Newton after a thief steals hundreds of vegetables from a community farm.
Yeah, they believe whoever did it had been targeting specific produce. NBC 10's Diane Cho has more on the theft. It's new at 11.
You see all the basil, beautiful basil growing here.
It's not a crime you hear about very often.
And then suddenly it's missing. Starting here.
In fact, in the nearly 20 years since the Newton Community Farm has been here, they say it's never happened before.
We were in disbelief, and then we were angry, and we were very sad. We were sad that somebody did this to the farm and to this community.
The executive director says a thief stole hundreds of scallions, eggplants, and basil that had been planted in the field, along with trays of vegetable seedlings that were in the greenhouse.
They were looking for scallions, and they were pulling. They didn't take the little ones, but they took all the bigger ones before they realized these are also onions. These are not scallions.
She says the farm's manager, who lives on site, first noticed the plants were gone on Friday morning.
There were knee prints and footprints here in the bed.
The community farm is a nonprofit organization.
And it's right by the highway, too. I mean, there's
what it grows to local food pantries.
They must have scooped them out.
The thief not only stealing from their labor of love, but also robbing the family who lives here of their sense of security that was once planted firmly in the ground.
My message to the person or people who did this is you didn't have to do this. If you were, in desperate straits and you needed food or you needed help, if you had a need for some seedlings, you could have talked to us. You could have talked to any community farm. We're here to help.
The executive director says that they plan to increase security on the farm in light of what's happened. If you'd like to help by making a donation, you can head to the Newton Community Farms website. In Newton, Diane Cho, NBC 10 Boston.
Isn't that something? It's a community farm and not for profit. It's not like they were making millions. Oh, I'm stealing from the man type deal. They don't need this stuff. They're making millions and millions. No, it was a community farm. I'm sure there was volunteers and stuff that used to come in there and help them out. Let me switch back to camera 1 here so you can see me okay, picking my nose. But yeah, I mean, a community farm. Now, granted, big farm like that, you're like going, all right, big farm, Purdue, whatever, or who makes vegetables? Who makes vegetables out there? Fresh Point, all these other things. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. I'm making names up there. But I mean, you understand those type people, but those type people have a larger security system. This is just a humble little farm. Looks like they had 2 acres. Looks like everything was nice and green and growing up. That looked like they were going to have a very good harvest this year. And now they're not because of what's going on. People stealing them. Now, what are you going to do with... Are you going to steal them? Are you going to sell them at the farmer's market? Pardon the pun there, but I mean, are you going to do that? Sell them at a flea market? Hey, guess what? This and that. Some people needed money. That's a weird way to generate money, though, stealing fruits and vegetables. Now, another weird thing that's going on right now, 2 children have suffered what they describe as burn-like injuries after playing on slides that have been doused with acid at a Massachusetts park, authorities say. Now, this is in Long Meadow, Massachusetts. Police and firefighters responded to Bliss Park in Long Meadow this past Sunday morning, for a report of suspicious substance on the playground equipment. The fire department posted on social media. At about this time, fire departments and emergency medical technicians went to a nearby home for a report of 2 children with burns that just left the park. I let the kids go and play. I didn't notice that there was any liquid collected at the bottom of the slide. You know how sometimes the bottom of the slide's got that little whoop to kind of kick you off the slide instead of just dumping you right there on the rocks. So She saw that liquid was collected at the bottom of the slide. I just assumed it was rainwater, the mother said. She told West Mass News in Springfield, I didn't really think much of it. And then my baby, who is 1, just started crying. That's when I knew the liquid that was in there wasn't water. The acid left mostly superficial blisters and swelling on the children's skin, but it could have been much worse. The bottom of the slide, where it was a good amount collected there, she says. I was surprising that he didn't start splashing in it. Authorities determined that someone broke into the storage room where chemicals were kept at the park's swimming pool, stole some muriatic acid. Oh, Jesus Christ. The acid, which is used for cleaning and maintenance of pools' pH balance, and then poured it on all 3 sides. Evidence was gathered to send to the crime lab for forensic analysis. No one has been charged, but authorities said the suspects may have also been injured while dealing with these chemicals. Can you imagine that? Hey, we're going to go nuke this kid's playground, so the kids are running around burning like acid. It's got to be juveniles, because that's a juvenile thing to do. Why would you do that? Just cause a little mayhem and stuff? It's got to be kids. Kids, look around for any kids in that area with burnt hands and stuff like that, because they were messing around with pool chemicals. All right, guys, when we come back, have you been peeing correctly? Well, studies have shown that you have not, and that includes myself. Well, sometimes, unless it's a drunken stupor night. Sometimes I pee correctly. And we'll dive into that when we come back. Stick around. You're listening to Deacon Live right here on Prophet Radio. I'll be right back. Welcome back to Deacon Live. Make sure you follow us on all your social networks, and the way you find us is go over to Prophet Radio, proud sponsors of Deacon Live. That's Prophet Radio, PROPHET radio.com. At the top of the page says social contacts. Click on that, and you can see all our different links that links us to you and you to us. You can see our fan page, our Facebook page, our Instagram page, our TikTok page, our YouTube page, and make sure you like and subscribe over at YouTube as well. For every podcast, we have a matching video. You can see me here in the studio. Hi, how are you? You look good. Don't ever change. And if you have any visuals, or we have any visuals here in the studios as far as articles or videos that we're talking about here that have a visual aspect, you can see those in real time as we're talking about them over on YouTube as well. Make sure you check that out. Like and subscribe. I don't do it for the money, believe me. It's too much work to sit there and try to have, 100 and 150,000 people sit there and look at and like, and you have to, stand on your head like a tap dancing cat or something like that. No, it just gives you guys another aspect of enjoying the Deacon Live and being part of the Deacon Live family. Now, speaking of family, this gentleman right here from my home state of Florida, a Florida man was bitten by a relative and develops a flesh-eating infection. Jesus Christ, what kind of family members do you have? A Florida man had to undergo emergency surgery to address a potential deadly flesh-eating bacteria infection, which he developed as a result of him being bitten by a relative, according to this report. Donnie Adams, 52, of Riverview, first developed a small, painful bump on his left thigh 2 days after he'd been bitten, as he attempted to intervene in a tussle between 2 of his family members. In February, Adams was barely able to walk and had to be taken to the hospital for emergency surgery, where the surgeons had to cut around 70% of Adams' thigh just to save his leg and possibly his life. Doctors at the HCA Florida Northside Hospital said they've never seen a case of flesh-eating bacteria, never seen a case of this flesh the stuff that eats your skin, known as necrotizing fasciitis caused by a human bite. Speaking of his relatives involved in the fracas he broke up, Adams said all parties involved are very, very sorrowful. Now, first of all, I've got a lot of questions. First of all, it's Florida, so you expect family fights and stuff and weird shit happening, right? But here you are, you got Uncle Charlie over here, who's fighting with Cousin Vinny over here, and they're getting in a tussle, and you step in, and somewhere in that fight, you get bitten on your thigh. So, how do you write that story? That's what I want to know. How do you write that story of how that actually happens? And then the person who bit you gives you some kind of flesh-eating bacteria, and half your leg, 70% of your thigh is gone because your relative has bitten you. I would check out the relative, see how they're doing. Now, over in Nogales, Arizona, U.S. Customs and Border Protection made a very unusual seizure of 242 pounds of the Totoaboa swim bladders. Is that right? Am I saying that right? Totoaboa. Totoaboa. Totoaba. Totoabe? Let's go with Totoaboa. So it's gonna drive me crazy. Let's find out all together. Google search, and then we'll do pronunciation. Pronunciation. There we go. Let's see what Google says how to say this. How to say Totoaboa. Here we go. I'm going to get an ad. Yep. Totoba swim bladders with an estimated value of, listen to this, 42. Hold on, let me backtrack. So listen to this. 242 pounds of Totoba swim bladders with an estimated value of $2.7 million. The swim bladders of this species and other similar species worldwide are prized in traditional Chinese medicine and the Asian cultural delicacy. Ooh. What are you eating there? Pig or fish piss, I guess. The CBP officers say the officers are officials. Sorry, the CBP officials say officers are working with the trade facility to discover 270 swim bladders concealed within a commercial shipment of frozen fish fillets. Preliminary DNA testing indicates that these bladders are from an endangered species known as a Totoaba. From the Gulf of California and Mexico. This seizure is thought to be the second largest seizure of its kind in the U.S. and the largest in the Arizona to date. So since 1979, the Totoaboa, see now they changed the spelling on it so I can say it, has been listed as an endangered species under the U.S. Endangered Species Act. So this guy was stealing a whole bunch of these swim bladders. Let's see if there's anything in the video that's worth looking at. So here we go with more on this story. Go to camera 4 so you can see it. Here we go.
In making an unusual seizure, 242 pounds of swim bladders that were illegally taken from a species of fish which are considered a delicacy in Asian cuisine. Fox 10's Stephanie Bennett did a little investigating on this and joins us live with details. It's just bizarre, Stephanie.
Yeah, it's definitely not a unique find, not your typical find, I'd say, but it's actually happened before. This was the first largest case here in Arizona, but it was actually only the second largest in the country. Now, officers found the load down in Nogales, and they said the cost of it, well, it had a net worth of $2.7 million.
Definitely, we're seeing larger amounts being intercepted here in Arizona and other southern land border ports of entry.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers at the area port of Nogales have seized 270 swim bladders from the endangered Totoaba fish, which is illegal to possess, smuggle, or sell.
It is unusual, although we have had some significant seizures in the last few years, and I can remember some as far back as about 15 years ago. What we are seeing is an increase in commercial shipments of this nature rather than coming in through passenger baggage.
On April 13th, CBP officers thought something seemed a little fishy when they went to a trade facility and discovered the load concealed within a commercial shipment of frozen fish fillets. This seizure, they say, has an estimated value of about $2.7 million. It's thought to be the second largest seizure of its kind in the U.S. and the largest in Arizona.
You know, there's a demand, and as the population for this endangered species goes down, the demand and the dollar value that they fetch will, of course, increase.
The swim bladders are in high demand on the Chinese black market, used for medicine and are an Asian culinary delicacy. However, the gill net fishing methods used to catch them have led to the demise of another endangered species in the Gulf of California, the vaquita porpoise. Now, the Center for Biological Diversity are advocating for their protection.
Vaquita is the most endangered marine mammal right now all over the world, with only 10 left.
What did he say? I don't know. So there you go. They seize a whole bunch of swim bladders over in Arizona, which is weird. You would think fish coming across like any of the coastal states or anything like that, but I guess they're being shipped up through Arizona, which is landlocked, as we all know. I know a little bit of geography, and that would be the extent of it right there. Now, gentlemen, listen up. Ladies, go do something else. I don't know. Just you're not gonna enjoy this one. Gentlemen, you have been peeing wrong. Well, probably 95% of you. The other 5%, well, it's debatable what you actually do. New studies find that most men... Oh, let me switch back to camera one so you can see me. Hi, how are you? New studies have found that most men are peeing the wrong way. All right, so tell me what I'm doing wrong. News article that I don't barely know. All right, so here we go. Men are urinating completely wrong according to scientists. Of course. Yay, we've been doing it all wrong. None of the standing up and leaning over. People do it every single day, but it turns out men have been urinating wrong this whole entire time. According to new researches, men are sitting down to pee. Men should be sitting down to pee instead of standing up. The leading urologist has stated that sitting down is more hygienic and healthier for bladders following a publication of the YouGov report about male urination practices. Now, hear me out. Guys, are you going to really sit down to pee? Don't you find that like effeminate? Now, I think what they're trying to do is soften the blow on, and this, just hear me out. Soften the blow when you see the trans community woman not standing up to pee, because that's a big cliche. That's a big, taboo type thing. Oh, you're a woman, but you're standing next to a urinal to pee? No, they're trying to get us all men to sit down to pee. So that's just my thought. I'm just throwing it out there. But I think they're softening, they're removing some of the hardness that makes us men. And I use that term hardness very, very punfully. According to findings, especially finding older men, such as benign prostate hyperplasia, also known as a large prostate, is more common. BPH occurs when the change of hormonal environment within the prostate, mainly from the early 40s onwards, Collins says, the doctor of this research study. You can get an increase in a certain breakdown of product of testosterone, which causes the prostate to increase its cell development. Okay, that's a whole bunch of fancy science stuff. Why should we do it? The new data involves study including more than 7,000 men from 13 countries. Surprisingly, Germany is the country which had the higher number of men always sitting down to pee, with 40% of the German men claiming to do so. Now, the only time I have sat down to pee is if I feel like I'm going to shit myself. I don't want to sit there and pee and then fart, and then all of a sudden, I've painted the back wall there, and I don't want to do that. If I've got that 50-50, if I'm going to do 1 and 2, I might do like 1.5 and sit down to pee just in case I have to pass gas and it ends up being a solid. I know. Welcome to DeaconLive, people, where we sit here and talk about fish bladders and men peeing. Oh, I know. All right, guys, when we come back, we'll lighten up the show a little bit. Someone is taking his big wheel and going home. Actually, he's leaving the big wheel. It's a popular game show, and he's been the host for many years, and we'll talk about why he's leaving and who's going to take over. Stick around. You're listening to DeaconLive right here on Prophet Radio. I'll be right back. If I haven't lost you yet. Welcome back to DeaconLive. You want to be heard? Well, we'd love to hear from you, and the way you can do that, you can be part of the show. You can be podcast famous. You can be right here in the studio with us in real time as we're on the air. All you have to do is go to Prophet Radio, proud sponsors of DeaconLive. Go to prophetradio.com. At the bottom of the page says Be Heard. Click on that little blue microphone opens up a thing on your device. You can speak right into it. Speak clearly. You can be anonymous. I don't care who you are. Just love to hear from you. Make sure that you're doing okay and you're not sliding off the road and peeing upside down or something like that. So we just love to hear from you. And while you're over there, you can get yourself something for free over at the free swag section. Pick out whatever prize pack you like. And that's just Prophet Radio's way of saying thank you for listening to us. And they'll send you out some cool things. So pick out what you like, and we'll send it out to you. Only for those in the United States. Sorry, I'm not going to send $3, $4 worth of stuff overseas and spend $115 to send it over there. But there's some cool things over there. You can pick that out, and we'll get those to you right away. Now, Father's Day is right around the corner. My wife is going to be out of town. She's going up to New York. They're having a memorial service for her grandmother, the one I said I was driving till she was 92. Unfortunately, she passed away at the age of 90, I believe 96 she passed away. So they're having a memorial service for her. And so she's flying up to North Carolina. I have to stay here on the property. We both have a lot of responsibilities as far as animals and stuff. And we have a very, very elder dog, an English bulldog who's 13 and a half years old. And my dad. So I got to watch my dad and I got to watch my dog at the same time because the two of them can't watch each other. They're just not capable of doing that. But for Father's Day, since my wife's going to be out of town, it's just me and my dad. I'm going to make him his own whatever dinner he wants. And he decided on doing like the chopped country steak with the brown gravy, mashed potatoes, and I don't know, I'll throw some corn or something in there. But it'll be good times. But over in Hershey Gardens, your name might get you a free admission this June. Now, in Hershey Gardens is a wash in color with 3,000 blooming roses that represent 115 varieties that included the new pale peach Catherine Hershey rose. Regular admission to the gardens at the Dairy in Derry, across from the Hotel Hershey, is $16.50 for people ages 13 to 61. In June 2023, this National Rose Month, which is National Rose Month, visitors named Rose or variations thereof will be admitted for free. Admission grants you access not only to the gardens, but also the several special events that appear in June. Music in the Gardens from 6 to 8, Friday, June 16th, will feature performances from the Wave Quartet, featuring Bailey Fidelity with blues and soul, blues, jazz, and pop. Guests can bring their own snacks, beverages, and should share a blanket for seating. Now, on Father's Day, this Sunday, June 18th, all dads will receive a free admission from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. On Mondays through Thursday, June 26th to August 17th, the gardens will offer the Zoological Zone interactive cart. From 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., children will explore and touch and feel small animals, arthropods, and deceased butterflies and experience. This experience is included with the admission. Hershey Gardens opens up between 9 and 6 daily, Monday through Friday. Admission includes indoor butterfly atrium that lasts. Entrance of the atrium is at 5:45 p.m. So if you're looking for something to do for Father's Day, or if your name is Rose, go over to Hershey Gardens and check them out as well. Now, someone who's checked out right now is this gentleman right here. Pat Sajak is retired as the Wheel of Fortune host next year. The longtime host says he will step down after this coming season. Now, because this is on a paywall, I have to go back here and figure out where to find it. All right, so here we go. He said he would step down in 2024. Pat Sajak, who has been one of the most familiar faces in American television for over 4 decades, has hosted the Wheel of Fortune. As host of the Wheel of Fortune, announced this past Monday he would retire next year. The time has come, Pat Sajak, 76 years old, said on Twitter. It's time for someone else to take a spin. Pat Sajak, who's hosted the syndicated show for more than 40 years, all right, has come. And this is his tweet. From Pat Sajak, the official Pat on Wheel. Well, it is the time has come. I decided after 41 seasons, which begin September, will be my last. It's been a wonderful ride, and I've had more to say in the upcoming months. Or I will have more to say in the upcoming months. Many thanks to you all. If nothing else, keep the clickbait sites busy. So there you go. Pat Sajak did not mention who would be replacing him, but rumors have shown around town that it could be his daughter. And I don't know if that's going to be well over, if that's going to bring a new generation of people watching The Wheel. They've gotten a lot of heat from the writers that are not, the clues and everything are not matching up with the actual solution for the puzzle. And then there's this whole pronouncing the word correctly or something. Maybe it'll just fade away and die away, such as what's the one that I used to like? I don't know. There's a lot of them out there. But you don't see game shows as much anymore. And this is it's a dinosaur. It's a dying breed, these game shows. They've all switched to reality TV. It's easier to do, especially with the writer strike going on. Now, and again, my home state of Florida, and even closer, Orlando, which is where I was born and raised. A heated confrontation between a Florida sheriff's deputy and an Orlando police officer was caught on body cam after the deputy pulled the officer over for allegedly speeding in a marked police SUV. The officer sped off and was later arrested. And according to Seminole County Sheriff's Office report, the deputy on a routine patrol stopped an OPD officer, Alexander Shinoe, on June 6th at 7:15 p.m., so right in the middle of the day, for driving nearly twice the speed limit, along a stretch of road. During the stop, footage shows Shinoe, 35, dressed in a police uniform, driving a marked OPD, Orlando Police Department SUV. What? Shinoe says to the deputy after stepping out of his cruiser. I'm going to work, man. Why are you trying to pull me over? The other officer says, because you're going 80 and a 45, the deputy responds. When asked for his driver's license in the video, Shinoe responded no, and then got back into his police SUV and left the scene with the cruiser's flashing lights on. When the deputy said that he first clocked Shinoe speeding, the report says that the vehicle's emergency lights were flashing, were not activated. All right, so there you go. On Tuesday, the Orlando Police Department told USA Today that the agency was notified by the sheriff's office Friday that Shinoe is being criminally charged. Officer Shinoe has been relieved of duty pending on Seminole County Sheriff's criminal investigation and OPD's internal affairs investigation. OPD declined to release the additional information about the officers, including how long Shinoe had worked for the department. Now, if you want to see this video, don't forget for every podcast we do, we have a matching video. And this is a good one to see. This is one where, you always say, police get it, they can just click the lights on and go through red lights, and then they go on, and you're like going, hey, what the fuck, man? I got to wait at the red light. You click your lights on, flash, and go through the red light, and then what, to get a hamburger down the road, or you got to meet your date or whatever for lunch? That's bullshit. So here's the actual interaction between the two of them. So give me one sec while I find it. So here we go. Here's the actual video of the police getting pulled over. Shinoe getting pulled over. Hold on. Go to camera 4. There we go. Ready? Here we go.
You going to pull over?
Please say a command.
Pull over.
So he rides up next to the vehicle. All you see is the bumpers because he's got the dash cam on, and this is the exchange.
You going to pull over?
Please say a command.
Pull over.
What?
So he gets out of the car.
I'm going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, where are you going to work?
What does it look like I am dressed for?
What
does it look like I am dressed for?
My name is Deputy Hilton, and they see your driver's license.
No.
Okay. 3113, copy of 1050. 10-4, I got a city, Orlando PD taking off from a traffic stop.
Oh, see, God almighty. What an ass. What an ass. Hey, you know what? You do it to yourself, guys. you give yourself a bad name when you start doing shit like this. Now, I'm all about police support the police department. You know, if it wasn't for them, the whole world would go crazy for the most part. You know, you want to do that. But I mean, they protect and serve. But when you do shit like this, man, you're not above the law. You are the law. You should respect the law.
Pull over.
Here we go. One more time.
What? I am going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, what are you going to work for?
What does it look like I am dressed for?
What
does it look like I am dressed for?
My name is Deputy Hilton, and I see your driver's license.
No.
Okay. 3113, copy at 1050. 10-4, I got a city, Orlando PD taking off from a traffic stop.
Jesus Christ. Well, he's as of now, he's been suspended or let go of his duties, I guess, until further investigation. I hope they find out, and hopefully there's more behind that where, you know, something else happened along that day. I don't know. Just the search. You know what I mean? All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. Make sure you follow us on all your social networks, and the way you do that is go over to Prophet Radio, proud sponsors of DeaconLive. That's PROPHET radio.com. While you're over there, get yourself something for free. Click on that free swag. Fill out whatever form or whatever price pack you want. Believe me, it's not an email grab. It's just a way to say thank you for being part of the show from Prophet Radio. And if you'd like to be part of the show, be podcast famous, at that bottom of that same page says be heard. Opens up a microphone. You can be anonymous if you want. Speak right into the microphone. Comes right to our inbox, and we'll play it on this podcast or the very next podcast as well. So get your messages into us as quickly as you can. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. My name is the Deacon, saying good night and good night.
Wait, come back.
This is the end. The absolute end.
Écoute-moi.
Bye, take care.